notes, okay? Common examples where tolerance is being applied. Use keywords such as too large or too small. So medication, let's say. Let me just get to it. If the medication is too low, like if the dosage is too low, it would make it ineffective. Right? It wouldn't really do the job if the medication is too low. That's why we would apply the idea of tolerance. Okay, too much or too high. If it's too high, what would happen? It could cause an overdose, right? And you could have severe side effects there, or potentially put someone's life at risk. Okay. B, entrance door. If it's too small, right, it would cause drafts, hot air would escape, you name it. If it's too big, it would be impossible to close the door. So sometimes the province might say, give an example where tolerance would be used, like the idea of tolerance. And they might be specific. They might say in construction. They might say, you name it, in the food industry. So you need to be able to just, these are the key words here. What happens when it's too small? What happens when it's too big? Okay? T-shirt. If it's too loose, it would make it uncomfortable. If it's too tight, the shirt would just not fit. Okay? A battery. A battery. In terms of voltage, if the voltage is too low, what will happen if the voltage of a battery is too low? What will happen to that device? It will not power up the device. If it is too high, what happens then? It will fry it, right? It will damage or explode, right? Like lots of stories of lithium batteries these days, right? People charge them, they just leave them charged forever, and then they might explode or they cause significant damage, right? So there's an example of a battery. A fridge. What happens if the temperature in your fridge is too warm, too high? It spoils the food, right? If the temperature is too high in there, it will spoil the food. Yeah. If the temperature is too low, what happens then? If the temperature in the fridge is too low, it will freeze, yes. It will freeze items. So if you have lettuce or tomatoes, you don't want that, right? So we're talking fridge, we're not talking freezer, right? So what happens when it's too high? What happens when it's too low, right? Or too big, too small? And you have to kind of put your thinking cap on when you talk about these ones, right? Speed limit on a highway. I don't know. I'm actually not sure if that would be a good one, but I was just thinking if you drive too slow on a highway, it's a hazard, right? Because people, there's actually some states in the US, especially if you drive too slow, you might get a ticket for that. If you drive too fast, right, now you're also a hazard in a different way, right? So I'm not sure if that would ever come up. I just tried to come up with some examples here. Is there anything else? Nothing comes to mind right now, but have at least one where you tell yourself, right, common examples for tolerance. Like if they ever ask you to explain, okay, then you have that. Or just tell yourself, make sure you use what happens if it's too large or too small. I think there was one example. I don't have a. Let me see if I can do this. I used to have a wireless camera. I don't know what happened to that. But the last exam had. You see that cap there? The electrical cap, this one? Right? Somebody had to there was an example where someone was cutting out the hole for the receptacle, and they were like, use tolerance. What would happen if you applied tolerance to the situation? And the idea was if you cut the hole too big, that plate would not cover it, right? It would have to be exposed. It wouldn't look good. It'd even be dangerous, right? Because now a kid could put their hands in there, right? And if it's too small, if the cut on the drywall is too small, then the box would actually not fit in there. They had a full-on diagram in there. So, but that's what they were looking for, like what happens in either extremes. Okay, so keep that in mind. Stop it right there.